Good morning, my bass brethren. I am here today with my 1969 Gibson EB3. I recently picked this up off of Reverb. I was jonesing for a 60s EB3. I've got a 70s one, and I have a bunch of 60s EBOs, but I did not have a 60s EB3. I picked this one up mainly because it was a good deal. It was $1,500, and it's been stripped, but it's largely intact and unbroken. There's no headstock break or neck reset, which are really common on these. It also has the Jack Bruce diode modification, so you get distortion at lower volume. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it, but it's here, so I'll probably leave it for now. I may rewire it back to Gibson specs in the meantime. And the finish, they did a decent job refinishing it, but I'll probably refinish it in the spring and do a little nicer job on it. But let's get to the bass. I love Gibson EB3. Some of my favorite players from the 60s and 70s used them. Of course, Jack Bruce, and then there's Jim Lee from Slade, who I'm a big fan of. He's one of my favorite bass players. And Dennis Dunaway of the Alice Cooper group, who actually used a modded EBO, but it functioned more or less like an EB3, so I'm going to put him in the EB3 category for now. But the bass is largely intact. 69s are interesting. The necks are very, very thin on these. Starting about 67, Gibson started making EB3s with thinner, narrower necks, faster necks. That was all the rage back then. And it has Shaler M4 tuners, which were stocked for this year, which for the solid headstock EB3s, this is the only year that was done. It's actually a nice upgrade, and it was a sort of an attempt to help modernize the EB3. It has the 2-point bridge, which we all call the Tilt-O-Matic for a very good reason, but this one's in good shape, and the set screws still take hold, which is what keeps it level. So anytime you work on these bridges, you have to undo the set screws back here, and they're Allen wrench screws, and you back those out. You can adjust the bridge, and then release the tension, of course, on the strings, and then you tighten them up, keeping the bridge level, and it works pretty well. So it's not as bad as we like to make it out to be. But the bass sounds and plays really good. It's all mahogany construction, which is typical for the time. Mahogany neck, mahogany body, rosewood fingerboard, beautiful mother of pearl inlay. I always like the details on Gibson basses. They really pay attention to the details. So well, I'll give you the mudbucker, the famous mudbucker. This is what it sounds like. Little Jack Bruce for you, badge. It's one of my favorite bass lines, by the way. But no shortage of low end, but virtually devoid of mids or highs. Even with a pick, there's not a whole lot of definition, but it'll fill a room. On this particular bass, the way it's modified, my favorite is the mudbucker and the mini bucker at the bridge. So I'll give you a little taste of Jim Lee. So when people ask me if I can play Far, Far Away, yes I can. Anyhow, that's one of my favorite bass lines, Far, Far Away from Slade, Jim Lee, and he used his EB3 for that. And Jim Lee had some of the best EB3 tone. He was just my favorite. So anyhow, here it is, my 1969 Gibson EB3. Refin, they did a pretty good job, but I think I can make it look better. So this is just a short, quick one for you guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving and keep on rocking.